Alrighty, folks, we are now going to get started. So I'd like to welcome Erin Love to the line, and she's going to be presenting the CPRA Green Jobs Initiative. Erin, welcome.
Thank you, Vance. Thank you, everyone, for joining this afternoon and taking the time out of your day to learn a little bit more about the Green Jobs Initiative. My name is Erin Love. I'm the National Project Manager for this project on behalf of CPRA. Before we get started and dive into the webinar, thank you to those of you who just tested the hands up. And we're just going to ask, did you apply to the Green Jobs Initiative in 2018? So I just want to get a feel for who's on the phone today and see whether or not you're familiar with the program. So did you apply? Were you selected? Or is this an entirely new initiative for you? So it looks like most people on the webinar today, this is brand new. That's wonderful. Oh, a couple people who are repeats. So welcome back to those people who were part of the program or part of this pilot last year, and especially welcome to those of you for whom this is new. We're going to get started, and I will just go over, so again, my name is Erin Love. I'm the National Project Manager. Today on the webinar, we are going to go over the program details. So what exactly is the Green Jobs Initiative? How do I apply to the Green Jobs Initiative? What are some important dates for this program? And finally, we'll have lots of time for questions. So for those who joined late, Vance mentioned that there's a chat pod on the side of your screen on the right-hand side. Please put all of your questions into the chat pod, and Vance will take note of those, and I will address them at the very end of the webinar. So this program is officially titled the Summer Work Experience Green Jobs Initiative, and it's part of the Government of Canada's Summer Work Experience program. You will see there in the middle of your screen a blue link to the CPRA website where you can find out lots more information about the program. We'll go through some of the highlights together today. So program overview. What is the initiative? So the Green Jobs Initiative is put together to provide financial support for new green jobs for youth. And that financial support comes in as a wage subsidy up to $5,712 per job. So the wage subsidy covers 50% of expenses incurred, including salary and employment-related costs, up to that cap of $5,712. Funding through this program is paid directly to the employer after the work term. So you will have, if you are approved for funding, you will submit a claim form at the end of the student's work term to reimburse the expenses. And we are really excited to announce that we have funding to support 500 new green jobs for summer 2019. So last year, in 2018, we funded a total of 568 students through summer and fall. And this year, as of this minute, we have funding for summer only. We're hopeful, though, that we might get approved for additional fall funding. Definition. So the program talks a lot about new green jobs for youth. So we'd like to define those terms. New is if the position was created for the 2019 summer work term and is not a continuation of a current position. The green job is a very broad term, and it's very inclusive and includes things like parks horticulture, biodiversity, parks facilitators, parks ambassadors, or interpreters. A lot of these terms you will see in the parks and recreation sector, and that is definitely our target audience. But do keep in mind when submitting your application that the focus is on green initiatives. And finally, youth. So youth are those aged 15 to 30 years old. So the employee must be 15 years old at the time they are hired, and they must be 30 no more than 30 at the time that their work term ends. Youth must then have enrolled in school full-time in the last academic year, and they must intend to return to school full-time in the next academic year. The goals of the program are first and foremost to create meaningful job experiences for youth. Also to build a generation of youth that will value nature close to home and hopefully pursue a job in the green sector. And finally, to generate support for communities, municipalities, and other sector organizations to advance their green priorities. Some important details to keep in mind. Work terms, in order to be eligible, must be between 4 and 16 weeks in length. So any student who's hired for less than 4 weeks, unfortunately, is not eligible for funding through this program. On the flip side, if a youth is employed for a new green job for more than 16 weeks, that's totally okay. But the work term, the eligible amount of work that can be claimed against this program is 16 weeks. Another important thing to note is that matched funding cannot come from another federal government program. So this program, 50%, as we just discussed, comes from the federal government through CPRA. The other 50% cannot come from another federal source. So you could not support the same student 50% through Green Jobs and 50% through Canada Summer Jobs, for instance. We get that question a lot, and unfortunately, that's not possible. Organizations who have received funding in 2018 are absolutely eligible to apply for funding again in 2019. So welcome back to those groups, and we hope to have you participate again for this year. Allowable costs, I touched a little bit on it earlier. Again, the cap and the maximum funding allotment per student is $5,712, and that $5,712 supports salary costs, so hourly wages paid directly to the student, as well as the mandatory employment-related costs, and those things are Canada Pension Plan, EI, percents in lieu of vacation and benefits, etc. Additional funding may be available on a case-by-case basis for disability support, dependent support, or transportation accommodation.
I think so for the annexation, yeah. Okay. Okay, perfect. Then I will follow up with municipal affairs.
The person who has their phone on, would you mind muting your line, please?
Receive the information from Sam and Freddie that they were part of.
The online application system. So I'd like to ask and poll the group here, have you visited the application site yet for the 2019 Green Jobs Initiative? And Vance, if you could put up the poll for everyone.
For sure.
That would be great. So first question is, have you visited the application site?
We did.
And the second question, have you submitted your application yet for 2019 Green Jobs?
Expect some invoicing coming your
And
way, but
I'm not too sure where the this audio is coming from, because only one phone line is connected and it is muted. But if anyone does have a phone line on, if they could just mute it or turn down the speakers on your computer, maybe we're picking up feedback.
maybe I'll send another email following up with him.
Unless, Erin, is there anyone around you in your office?
That's okay.
No, I'm all
I'm
alone.
assuming if these ones are excluded from it, I can forward this.
Okay.
Okay, great. So
I'll
it
try
looks
to figure it out.
Thanks, Vance. It might be somebody's computer microphone that's on. Okay, so it looks like most people have visited the website, which is great. For those of you who haven't, we will have a few snapshots coming up that will guide you through and will look familiar when you do eventually visit the website. And excellent to see that no one has yet applied. While I encourage you all to apply, I'm glad that you're taking this webinar before submitting your application. So we'll carry on. The online application system, for those who have not viewed it yet, looks like this on the CPRA website. And on the top right-hand corner, you'll see a drop-down menu. You'll see Green Jobs Initiative, and drop-down in blue will be the application form. There's a separate application form in English and in French, and you are welcome to apply in your language of choice. A nice feature is you can save your work along the way as you complete your application. You can also apply for multiple jobs in the same application, and we encourage you to do so. And you can exit the application and revisit it later. So if you want to get clarification on something or you start and get interrupted halfway through, that's no problem. You can save your application. It will email you a link to revisit for your specific information, and you can enter it at any time. Once you do submit the application, however, it will be closed, and if you need any revisions, you'll have to email one of us directly. This is what the application form looks like, and on the left-hand side, you'll see we've now clicked on that application form link. So it brings you right to a page that looks exactly like this. The first part of the application form is contact details, so it's a very quick section to fill in what the name of your application organization, the type of organization you are. Are you a municipality? Are you a conservation organization? Are you a museum, an education group, etc.? Address, phone number for the organization, and then we ask a little bit about the person who's filling in the application just so that we can contact you if we have any questions. Part 2 of the application form asks for declarations. So the first question right off the bat, just take note, ask if this application is being submitted on behalf of an eligible organization. And for your convenience, the list of eligible organizations is there on the right-hand side of that screen. Shockingly, there are lots of people who answer no to this question, which is an automatic skip when we're doing our review process. For-profit companies, for instance, unfortunately are not eligible to access funding through this program. So your organization must fall within this list. If you have any questions about that, you can contact your regional manager if the organization you work for is not clearly listed here. And you would hit next. You can see the save button there in the bottom right-hand corner, so you can save your progress and it will email you the link. Or you can hit next and go to part 3. And this is really the meat and potatoes of the application itself. So this is the funding request section. In this section, you'll have the opportunity to apply for multiple positions within your organization. So one application and one request can come in for multiple positions, and a position can include multiple jobs, so long as the job title, the work term, and the salary are all the same. And there's a nice little example there that says my organization would like to hire 5 full-time park interpreters who will all be hired to work April to June and will make $15 an hour. So this application in this example would be one position with 5 jobs. So you would just click Add Position, and it will take you to this screen, Position 1. So the next 2 slides are all, the next 3 slides all capture the information that will be asked for every position you apply for. So please provide details about the position. We'd like the name, we'd like the number of jobs, where exactly it's going to be located. This seems obvious for municipalities where the students are working right within the municipality, but sometimes students are working a little bit more remotely, so that's why we asked this question. And please give all the details for one job under this position. This is an approximation, so the questions here that you see ask for hourly wage and the anticipated MERC that will be incurred over the work term. Of course, this is an approximation and an estimation. If something varies by a little bit in the end, that's okay. Just know that the cap is $5,712 per student. The application form goes on to ask, I anticipate that special accommodations might be required to fill this position. If you know for sure that that's going to happen already, I would encourage you to select yes, and we can discuss that after the application review has gone through. And the next question here is important. I certify that if this position is successfully funded through CPRA's Green Jobs Initiative, my organization will commit the necessary funding to support this position. So as mentioned a few times, the maximum cap is $5,712 per job and per youth hired. That is a maximum for the 50% of the total salary. So we need the municipality or the applicant to confirm that they are comfortable paying the other 50%. Sometimes that money is already committed at this stage, and you, within your budgets, have already allocated funds to support students in new green jobs. Sometimes the answer is no, and it's okay to say no, but the following box asks you to explain if that money will be committed upon review or upon the notice of decision from this application process. We then ask for a brief job description and then indicate how this position fits the definition of a green job. So just the text under there lists again the types of green jobs that could be funded under this application. The important thing here is that in this application that you really underline and highlight how this job is green. So especially for things where the line can be a bit blurry with outdoor play or park facilitators, wonderful jobs, but in order to qualify for this program, we really need to know what their green component is. So are they playing with nature games, or are they developing skills that would be used in a green job down the road? And then finally, create meaningful job experiences for youth. We'd like a little bit of information about how this job will build a generation of youth that will value nature close to home, and we'd like a little bit of commentary on what exactly this support will mean for your community and how does it advance your green priorities. And finally, will any extra effort be taken by your organization to reach youth at risk, youth with disabilities, visible or language minorities, Mixed Canadians, or Indigenous youth? So all of those questions that we just went through are for each position. If you're applying for 2 different positions, you would then click the Add Position button at the end, at the bottom of your screen. If you're not, there is, and I didn't capture it here in the slide, but there's another button that just says Next, and that takes you to Part 4, which is the requirements of the program. The first question, do you confirm that no other federal funding support will be used to support the positions proposed in this application? The second, if your application is successful, will you comply with the reporting requirements from the federal government? And right now, that reporting requirement is a 2-page student declaration form that we require for every student who is participating in the program to complete. And it asks, it's a very quick form to fill out. Asks for the student name, the SIN number, where they go to school, what their work term is, and different demographic information about the student. That form is due within 5 days of being hired, and that we'll go over all of that with any successful applicants when we go over the contract with them. Next is, will you comply with the hiring, with the eligibility requirements when you're hiring? Will you confirm that all positions in this application are in fact new? And finally, do you confirm that the positions applied for are not displacing any existing workers or are filling a position that was left vacant due to some sort of workplace action? So the answers to these questions must all be yes in order to be eligible or to be considered for funding. Finally, there's a disclaimer. confirming that you've understood the application. One, that you understand that the support is for salary and employment-related costs only. The second is that this is an application and is not a guarantee of funding. And the third is that if you are selected as a successful applicant, that you will comply with the terms set out in the contract between your municipality and CPRA. And again, you can hit the save. Yeah.
Sorry, we do have a question from Joanne, and she was just wondering if you can expand on the new jobs and the notion of that.
Sure. So a new job. Thanks for your question, Joanne. A new job is a job that didn't exist before this funding, or a job that exists only because of this funding opportunity.
Okay, and
hopefully that clarifies. I'll continue on.
Brett is also, okay, you want to continue? Okay, sounds good.
Yeah, let's hold questions until the end, and then I'm happy to have a discussion about all of the points. We're almost finished.
Okay, sounds good.
The review criteria, there are 5 main areas that will be reviewed for your application. So one is the demonstration that the applicant has the necessary funding to support their 50%. And again, that's asked directly in the application. Demonstration that efforts will be taken to reach youth at risk, disabled youth, visible language minorities, New Canadians, and Indigenous youth. And certainly if no extra effort is being taken to reach those audiences, it does not exclude you from review, but you are scored on that criteria. And then again, the 3 criteria to meet the objectives of the program. So how meaningful is the job experience? Will it build a generation of youth and hopefully encourage youth to apply to green jobs in the future? And the support is needed by your communities. Again, the reviewers have been instructed to really look for the green component. So it's not just a job that occurs outside, but how is it actually green? How is it contributing to outdoor and green priorities? Important dates. So the most important date is February 22nd, which is when applications are due, and applications can only be submitted online. We do have a PDF version of the application form that your regional managers have should you have any questions, and they can share that PDF with you so you can see the questions in advance if you need to, or if you are technologically unable to complete the online version, you can submit your PDF to the regional managers for their assistance with completion, but the reviewers will only be looking at applications that are completed online. And notices of decision will be sent out by March 22nd. I didn't put that in the slide because I don't want people to see that March date and think that's when applications are due, but it is clearly indicated on our website. So that sums up the application process. For those of you who participated last year, you might have seen this Student Success Stories document before. For those of you who are new to the program, this magazine was created to highlight some of the really great work that was done by students across the country last summer, and there are 16 profiles from every province and territory to highlight the students that they hired through this green initiative. So take a look through that document. It might give you some inspiration for your applications, or it might help clarify things for you if you're not sure, oh, is this a type of job that we might be able to fund? Perhaps it is, and perhaps we featured a similar job last year. And again, if you have any questions, these are the 5 regional managers that work with me across the country to deliver this program. So I have Noelle Virtue in Western Canada, Hari Rajagopalan in Central Canada, Laurie Paget works in Quebec and with our French language communities, Michelle DeCourcy in the Atlantic, and Jennifer Newman up north. all of their contact information. Oh my goodness, I just see that Pari's email address is incorrect there, but all of the contact information is online on the CPRA website. And if you have any questions for me directly, you can also reach me. So that concludes the formal presentation piece of the webinar, and I will take any questions again in the chat pod on the right-hand side of the screen. Please do list your questions, and Vance will throw them over to me.
Perfect. So we do have another question that popped up from Brett, and it says, can we prioritize certain positions over others? I'll be applying on behalf of a couple of municipal departments and want to ensure I avoid the appearance of favoritism of one department over another.
Sure. Thanks, Brett, for your question. And I think I actually had this question by email. I think you reached out to Pari. So, yeah, you can definitely write in your application. There's a slide. Let me just go to my application form. At the bottom of the application form, it asks any additional comments about this position, and you can put in any comments you would like there. If you would like, one job to be prioritized over another, you can indicate that on that slide. And that is right there at the bottom of the application form. The reviewers will see all of those additional comments, but if one job is, very, very strong and another job that happens to be in another department is very weak, they might favor funding multiple jobs in the very strong position, but you can certainly indicate your preference there.
Okay, and we have a question from Vanessa. Will we be able to view your presentation after the webinar today? So this presentation is being recorded and will be made available to you a few days or so after the webinar. So we will be sending out the link that would have that information available.
It will also be on the CPRA website. Under the Green Jobs Initiative drop-down menu, you will be able to click on webinars and it will be listed right there. If you go there now, you can see the 2018 webinar is posted.
Okay, so while everyone's thinking of possible questions to ask, I'm just going to quickly pull up our evaluation piece. This is just so the CPRA can get a better understanding of how the content for this course went, and if you have any suggestions for other types of courses. So if you want to briefly take a moment to fill that out, and then also think of any other questions, that would be fantastic. Okay, Erin, while people are filling that out, we do have another question, and it says, were all positions filled last term? And they're saying that 500, I believe, for the summer of 2018.
Yeah, great question. So in 2018, we had over 1,500 requests, and we were happily to report that, yes, we did fill the 500 jobs.
All right, it looks like Gail is typing, so we'll wait for what the chat box says. Bonnie's just saying thanks for this webinar.
No problem at all. It's my pleasure. And if there's anything that I didn't touch upon today, please do reach out to your regional managers or to myself directly. We're happy to assist you with the application process. If you're stuck on a question and you just want a little bit more clarity, the regional managers are ready to receive your phone calls and your emails to help you with those questions.
Okay, we received another question. So the question says, the amount $5,712, will that be per student? For example, if 4 students are to be hired, will this be the cap per student, or would every student get that amount?
The cap is $5,712 per student. So if your organization hires 4 students, you will get a maximum of 4 times that amount. Again, though, we do only cover 50% of the salary and MERC, so keep that in mind when you're doing your budgeting.
Okay, it looks like everyone did answer the evaluation piece, so I'm just going to switch back to the presentation piece in case anyone has any specific slides that they want to reference for a question. All right, Erin, it doesn't seem like there's any additional questions being typed up right now. I can always wait on the line here for a little bit longer, but if you want to conclude your presentation here, you're more than welcome to do so. But like I said, we can always hold off and see if there's any additional questions that pop up at a later time.
Great. I'll stay on for another couple of minutes just in case something comes to mind. But again, you can reach us at any time through the emails to the regional manager directly or to myself. And I just want to thank everyone for taking time out of your afternoon to join us for this webinar. I encourage you to apply to the Green Jobs Initiative. I'm excited to read all of the applications that come in this year, and we're looking forward to another great summer for this program.
Alrighty, thank you very much, Erin. If everyone that's still on the line, if you'd like to give Erin a round of applause, you can use the person icon located at the top of your screen and just select the applause button. Perfect. There you go, Erin.
Thank you, Vance.
Very welcome. Folks, that's going to conclude today's session. If you do have any questions, you can feel free to use those contact information listed for those regional managers. But other than that, have a great afternoon and have yourselves a fantastic rest of your day. Thank you very much.